What's up, everyone? Today we're going to go over how to set goals and actually accomplish them. Let's get into it. Now, in my experience, when it comes to setting goals and actually getting them done, there are 3 important steps or factors that go into it. But before you get into setting the goal and actually following through with it, you need to choose a goal. In order to set goals that you can actually accomplish, you need to think about what you want to achieve, put it in specific terms. Don't just say, I want to wake up earlier. Say, I want to wake up at 6 o'clock every day this next week. And when you're choosing the goal that you want to accomplish, think about what you actually can do. Set stuff like, I want to save more money, and then set something specific like, I want to cut back on my spending by $100 a month. Those are attainable, and eventually you could work your way up. But think about what you want to accomplish and put it in specific terms. Don't just leave it vague. One other thing when it comes to this, choose a goal that you actually want to follow through with. Don't choose something that doesn't interest you or that you don't really care about, because you're going to leave it by the wayside. Make sure that's something that you actually care about and want to do. Now that you've chosen a goal that you think you can stick to, you can put in actual achievable terms and is something that you want to do. Now you can move on to the 3 steps that I was talking about. The first of which being record your goal. This can take a lot of forms, whether it be writing down your goal in a journal or something. I use a weekly planner that I put my weekly goals in, and I also use the monthly dates to write out my monthly goals. You can write it out in a journal like that. You can record a video of yourself explaining what you want to accomplish, or you could even tell someone what your goal is. Even if it feels uncomfortable, if you tell someone your goal, in my experience, you're more likely to stick to it because you don't want to let them down, because now suddenly they're in on it. So that's the first step in setting goals and actually achieving them, or effectively following through on your goals. It's writing it down and recording it. Step 2 is to break your goals down. A lot of us want to immediately set huge goals and have these massive targets that we want to hit. Like, people will say, I want to be a millionaire. If you set that as your only goal, you're going to feel like you're not making any progress towards it until you actually hit it. So what you need to do instead is break the goal down into smaller, bite-sized pieces and follow through on those. So one of the examples that I mentioned is, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, if that's the goal that you're setting, think, what steps do I need to accomplish in order to achieve that? I need to spend less and save more effectively. And with that savings, I need to invest it. Okay, so those are 2 or 3 things that you need to do to achieve that goal. Okay, well, how are you going to achieve those things? Say that you buy coffees all the time. This is a bad habit of mine. You can tell yourself, I'm going to cut back on buying coffees. Say you buy 5 a week down to 3 a week for the next 2 weeks. And whatever I don't spend on coffee, I'm going to put into my savings account. That's a simple way to get started. Okay, well, what next after that? Okay, let's cut back onto buying 1 coffee a week. Whatever I don't spend on coffee, I put into my savings account. Okay, now what next after that? Okay, with the money I save not spending it on coffee, buy a coffee maker, make my own at home. And that's going to end up saving you if you buy 5 coffees a week at the start, and now you're making your own coffee at home. It'll cost about $10 a month to make coffee on your own at home, as opposed to spending $100 a month on coffee. You will be spending 1/10 of what you did before. Okay, so with all that money that you saved, set the goal, I want to invest X% of it. Start putting it into brokerage accounts and investing that money. And eventually, you will have a lot more than you initially anticipated having. Because you started with a small goal of, I want to cut back from buying 5 coffees a week down to 3. And then you worked your way up. You broke your big goal down into smaller goals. And you just keep expanding that. If you go for the whole thing all at once, you aren't going to feel any accomplishment along the way, and you're going to feel like you aren't getting anywhere. But if your big goal is, I want to save $1 million, and your stepping stone goal is, I want to buy 2 less coffees per week, that's something that's not that difficult to do, and once you do it that first week, you'll actually feel really accomplished, and you'll think that you're getting somewhere on your goal. Now that we've gone over how to choose the goal before you get started, what to do once you've chosen it to help yourself stay on track, and how to actually start following through on it, let's get into step 3. Step 3 is, don't be afraid to change your goals. I know that this might sound silly, but people oftentimes set a goal and then realize that they don't want to follow through on it, but stick to it anyways. This is kind of the opposite problem of what other people have, where they set a goal and never follow through. If you do the first 2 steps that I talked about, and you planned your goal effectively, you're going to want to and be able to follow through on your goals. But there are times when, even if you're following through on it, you just aren't enjoying it, and you don't feel like this is a goal you want to pursue any longer. In those cases, don't be afraid to change the goal to something else. So, for example, say that you want to get in shape to run a marathon. Say that you start working out for that, taking things slowly, jogging a little bit, then eventually running, and going to the gym a couple of times a week. After about a month of training, you realize, I really don't like the idea of running, but I love weightlifting. Don't be afraid to shift that, okay, I want to run a marathon goal, to something like, okay, I want to be able to bench press my body weight. Don't be afraid to shift once you find that you like something or don't like something. Also, don't be afraid to expand your goals. I personally set a goal for this year to make 3 videos. Right now, it is near the end of February, and I have blown that out of the water. I decided that after I did those first 3 videos, I really liked making videos and trying to build a YouTube channel. So I changed my goal. And now I have the larger goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. All because I really enjoyed making those first 3 videos. I accomplished my initial goal, and I changed the goal to something else. In all, don't be afraid to change what you're doing or what you're striving for. You could either change to something else, you could get rid of a goal entirely if you don't find yourself in love with it, or you can expand it. Going back through each of the steps. Before you even get into the steps, think about what you want to do, think of something that you can do, and then set the goal for it. Then the first actual step, record it. Make sure that it's something that you can see and that you can reference back to, so that way you can measure how your progress is coming. After that, start breaking that goal into smaller goals that you can accomplish a little bit at a time. And lastly, don't be afraid to change what your goals are or how you pursue them. So for my example, my initial goal was to make 3 videos. I really enjoyed it, so I changed the goal to reach 1,000 subscribers. Okay, that means now I need to reevaluate. I need to record that I have the goal of wanting to reach 1,000 subscribers. Here's me recording it literally, but I also have it written down somewhere. Then I need to start breaking down the goal into bits and pieces. My weekly goals are typically make at least 1 video and 1 short. What are my monthly goals going to be? Those are going to be subscriber targets. My subscriber goal for February was actually only to reach 12 subscribers. I hadn't really gotten any traction in January, so I didn't expect that much in February. I passed my goal pretty early on in the month though. And what are going to be some of my larger goals? Before I hit 1,000 subscribers, I have to hit 100. So let's break down how I get to 100 subscribers, and let's work towards that. If you do all the things that I talked about, planning effectively, writing down your goal, breaking it up into pieces, and then not being afraid to change the goal depending on how you're feeling, you'll find yourself accomplishing a lot more than you had just by thinking, someday I'd like to do this, and not actually doing any of the work to get there. I hope that you all found this helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out a ton, and you'd be helping me reach my goal of getting up to 1,000 subscribers. But first, the smaller goal of hitting 100. So, hope that you all stick around with me on that journey. I'll be posting more videos like this in the future, so I hope that you enjoy this, and thanks again for watching. See you all next time.